Okay. I'm on your timeline. I don't see it just yet.
All right, it's on now. All right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Today is August 11, 2020. As usual, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for allowing us to see yet another day. Thank you, God, for waking us up this morning. We ask you, God, that you would bring about healing, help us to get a better understanding of one another, and peace and love through this episode and information that we share. In Jesus' most precious name we pray. Amen. All right. So today's show, we got a special guest with us. She's a singer, songwriter. Trying to feed it to her page right now. Like I said, singer, songwriter, model, actress, the lovely, talented, one and only Janelle Symone Brown.
Come on. Hey, Marvin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, love. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. This is amazing Tuesday. The rain's coming, but I'm here to bring a little bit of the sunshine, you know. Okay?
Sounds good to me. Bring it on, girl. Yeah, so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of, we're going to talk about, the main topic is going to be women and sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get there, Janelle is also, like I said, she's a singer and a songwriter. Won't you tell the people about your single that Prove It To Me, that you just debuted the video this last weekend. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm like the way it came out. I was kind of upset, or I did not upset, but disappointed. I didn't get a call, or I didn't see my phone ring about being a love interest. But
oh my God,
you know,
we got you in the next video. I got you. All
right, I'm gonna hold it to you. The people, you heard it. Be looking for me in the next video.
Yes, I am so happy about the video. Look, that was a labor of love. We recorded that song last year, and I don't think a lot of people know when you're an artist, the amount of time and the amount of money and attention that it takes to birth something like that. From sending it over, it was like several different people from different states had came in to do the music and the mixing and mastering. So I'm happy it came out amazingly. It was an 8-hour shoot. Okay, I was tired. Is an understatement. Okay,
gotcha.
But I'm loving thousands of views and hundreds of shares. Thank you so much.
No doubt. Like I said, the name of the song is "Prove It To Me." If any of you guys want to go out there and check it out, it's on her page. I don't know if your page is public, but after this show, what I'll do is I'll make sure it is public. Okay, so you can go to her page, Janelle Symone. That's Symone.
Hello.
Check out the video. Check it out. Tell us what you think. Give us some good, feedback on it. Let us know what you think about the video and the song. But what was that process like? You said you wrote it a while ago. I'd imagine that post, especially with the pandemic going on, it's just, how difficult was it for all those parts to come together to actually get to say, who's on Monday, now that it's all done? Like, this time last year, you was hoping that it'd be ready in 3 to 4 months. But now that it's all actually done, what's that relief like for you?
There's not.
No.
There's no relief. No, there's no relief or reprieve. There's not. Because at this point, it's like, what's next? So oftentimes artists will drop something and then you don't hear from them for another year. Okay. Now Beyonce can do that because she's Beyonce. Okay. She can drop an album with no promotion because all of her resources are intact. But when you're starting out, you got to keep hitting people with things and new things. And so if anything, I'm more afraid now and more stressed out now because now the work starts, because now you have to pay for promotion. Now you have to get into the hands of A&Rs and people who can place it on radio and television and commercials. And now you got to worry about the next video, which is going to be another 2 stacks or another stack, and getting that all planned out. So it's one of those things where it never stops if you really want to do this for real.
Yeah, I'm tired just listening to you explain all of that.
See,
I can only imagine what the actual leg work is like. Yeah, got to be tiresome. But yeah, man, all you guys that's out there viewing that haven't known her before this, I just introduced you to her. Please go out there and support. And you know, we gonna get to play a part in making her big. She said Beyonce could do that. One day we're gonna look back on the day when we get to say somebody gonna be saying Janelle Symone could do that. And we all get to know we played a part in that. So big ups on that. Much love on that.
Thank you.
All right, so all my saints that's tuning in, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from another. Cause we about to change gears. We about to get hot and heavy. You know what I'm saying? Some of you closet freaks, y'all can stay on if y'all want to, or stay anonymous. You know, can't nobody tell who's watching, who's not watching. So, but with tonight's topic, what we're gonna be talking about is we're gonna be talking about WAP. And of course, I'm telling my age. I was so old, I was like, why is everybody talking about WAP? Like, I had to go look at what it was or what it means. So we're gonna be talking about the WAP. We're gonna be talking about the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion song, and then we're gonna also be talking about women and sexuality. All right. So, all right. So, which way you think we should start? Should we start with the song first?
Let's start with the song because you did that lovely intro. Let's start with the song first.
Okay. So as a woman, what is your take on the song?
It is twofold for me. It's twofold. One is when I first watched the song, I'm not gonna lie, the video, I was a little bit taken aback because I was like, oh my God, like y'all doing the most. But that was my conditioned mind coming into play. That's my, a woman is supposed to be like ... coming into play. I do that women, we should have a little bit of grace and class. That's just me. But then again, in my expressive side, it's like they're artists. They should feel free to express their sexuality and what they like sexually any way they want to. So yeah, I was taken aback at first, but then when the bigger argument came into play, I was like, you know what? I say if you like it like that, post the video, like it. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah, simple as that. Because I've been hearing, like you said, it's been kind of the topic all week. Or when I don't know how old the song is, but I say like that's all everybody is talking about now. Maybe I'm hearing a lot of women. Well, maybe I'm just too old now because it's like, ooh, that's like too much for me. So I was like, being that I knew we was going to talk about it on the show, I actually listened to it for the first time today and went back and watched the video. Then I watched the video again with the lyrics just so I could see it, to make sure I was hearing what I actually thought I was hearing.
Okay.
And it's all the way official. I'm with you. It's vulgar to me. It's pretty explicit.
Really explicit.
But at the same time, once again, I'm also an artist. I'm not like you guys. I'm not like you or Beyonce, but I've been a musician. I've been an artist, or I'm in the music scene. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And that's the one thing I love about art. To me, as an artist, there's no such thing as bad art. Whether you're a painter, whether you're a musician, whether you're a artist, whether you're a performer, there's no such thing as bad art. You know what I mean? Because art is what you make it as the creator of it. So if that's your truth and that's what you're comfortable with, to me, it doesn't matter who else is comfortable with it. Like you said, that's your choice. Nah, that ain't for me. Just turn the channel. But as an artist, I feel like that is your right to express yourself however you see fit.
Absolutely. So when I was growing up, I'm about to date myself. When I was growing up, Prince had a performance, an infamous performance. Where he played his set, he turned around, he had his butt out. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was fairly young at that particular time, but I never saw that until I was 17. Never knew that performance existed. So what we also got to take into account is that, when I was young, it was channel 31 for the kids, which was Nickelodeon. Channel, ABC and NBC for the adults. And my mother and my grandmother, you know, really paid attention to what we could and can watch. Now, granted, now it's a different age. You got cell phones, you got tablets, children can access things. But I have nieces and nephews, and you have to, with every piece of additional technology, you got to come with another firewall. You got to come with something that restricts them. Like my nephew can't be on certain sites; it's restricted. I know these kids are smart, but you got to be 7 steps ahead of them. Yeah. So I don't put the responsibility on artists to somehow raise our kids. We should be doing the raising, and then we should teach our kids how to make better decisions.
Got you. And it's funny that you went there. You just led into the next question. I got a question from one viewer. They said, I would ask the panel. I would ask if the panel thinks that they should, as artists, be more cautious of what they are putting out there, knowing that young girls are listening and idolizing them, or does it fall solely on the parents' responsibility? So I'm kind of me personally, I'm kind of with you on this. So to me, that's a twofold answer as a parent. Like, fortunately now my young men are grown. They're adults. So I don't have to police, but it's definitely the era that they grew up in was definitely different than my era. You know, my sons, they laugh at me when they hear us talk about beepers. You know, it was just a different era. Like, y'all used to sex with each other, but we didn't have that. Like when you call somebody back in the day, they actually had to pick up the phone.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't you didn't know who was calling. You had to answer the phone to see who's calling. So it's like they like are totally oblivious to this. And I just feel like it does fall on the parents, as I do believe that is the parents' responsibility. However, it's kind of difficult with these days and times too. You know, kids have cell phones. They got the internet. Like you said, you can put up all these kind of firewalls, but none of us can parent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, they going over to the girlfriend's house. They ride the bus on the school. They ain't no telling what they watching. Ain't no telling what they seeing when they in school. Because me personally, back in that day before technology, everything that I learned about like stuff like that was at school. So I didn't need to watch it on my own at home or whatever. Like, my mom and pops they didn't know what I knew. Like, we was teaching each other. We was learning together at school, you know, whether we should be learning it or not. Like, everything came from, you know, that school of hard knocks. So I do believe that it should. I do believe that artists should have the freedom to express themselves however, and I do believe that it is the parents' responsibility too. But not to change topic, you know, I'm on the short end of the stick. You know, as far as like professional sports right now, I feel as though as the owner of these professional teams, I know it's all about money, but I feel like as the owner of these teams, I feel like they need to take that decision from us, whether or not we're going to play or whether or not we're going to opt out. Because as a parent, there are going to be things that you want to do, but there's time as a parent, my child may want to do this, but I know that's not the best thing for him to do. So he's just going to have to be disappointed with me saying no. I don't think that the players should have options with this pandemic going on, and we not have enough answers right now. You know, I don't think that. I think they need to take that from I don't think that should get to be a player's decision. I think as the entity, as the brand, as the owners of these teams, you should tell them, no, we're not playing because we care about your safety and we don't have enough answers. So we're not going to play until we get more answers. I'm not saying that we're going to cancel the season right now, but I'm not saying that too much from now, if things clear up, we won't revisit the situation. But I think that decision should be taken away from me. As a former athlete, you know, we were talking about this last week, and you know, one of my old quarterbacks, Algernon Hall, he was more or less, you know, they doing it the right way. And my thing was, I can remember as a player, there was times that I had concussions, but I know good and well if the coach asked me, am I good to play? Guess what? I'm going to say, yes, coach, I could play. Mm-hmm. And there were times when my coach would say, listen, man, I hear what you're saying, but nah, give me your helmet because you got to sit this one out. You know what I'm saying? But so I think sometimes as that elder statesman, so to speak, you got to take that decision for them. The reason I bring that up is because in the music, I blame these labels a lot of times for this here. Like the labels, why is it that the artists and the parents have to take all the responsibility, whereas the labels can put out whatever they want to? You know, off camera, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, I have no problem with the booty shaking, the explicitity. I don't care about any of that. But I find it peculiar that you only see that in R&B. You only see that in rap. You don't see that in pop. You don't see that. Like, these people are just as sexual, but you don't see that in country music. You don't see that. So when does the labels themselves have to take accountability and assume some of that responsibility? This music is going out there to young kids, young adults. Is this the image that we want to be portraying, not putting out there? And if so, why is that is only acceptable in the Black community?
Gotcha.
I think that's a double standard that they don't want to address. It's like the elephant in the room. Nobody talks about it, but I think that's a real issue. Because none of us, like you said, you're an artist, but you can't just, man, that's for the movies. You know, you go into the studio, making a record, selling out the end of your tape. For you to be known, for you to get to that Beyonce status, is going to take the big boys. You see what I'm saying? But they control what they're going to put out there and what they're not going to put out there. So I'm just saying is make it an even playing field. I want to see some trailer park ratchetness. You know what I mean? Because they live just as ratchet as some people do in some of the ghettos, but we don't see that side of things.
Right. Well, and what I want to say is this, and I think you bring us some very interesting points. I want to say that so the comparison, and I understand what you're saying as far as, you know, playing football and this COVID-19 and taking away the option of having people come and play for physical safety. So I just want to make sure that we clarify that.
Yeah.
Analogy, but one has to do with physical safety, that people could actually die. The other has to do with artistic, stylistic choices that could influence someone to, you know, be hypersexualized. Now, I do want to say this. The greater conversation has become, you said something about double standard, and I truly agree with you. I think at the time of 1950s, 1960s, the nuclear family for the Black people were at all-time high, as far as marriage, kids, jobs, and wealth is in family and ownership. We all know that. Family ownership. But they saw that, and what ended up happening was they started, you know, taking the men and separating the men and the women and having single motherhood and then welfare. And then what started to happen was, okay, so we know that we could change the entire culture of Black people. Let's really drive criminality. Let's really drive hypersexuality, which has been hypersexuality for Black men and Black women has existed since they brought us here on slave ships, you know? Yeah. So that hasn't changed in our music. That hasn't changed in our representation. That hasn't changed in what we see on TV. However, what I find quite humorous is that criminality of Black people, the thugs, the drugs, the pimps and hoes, and all this kind of stuff has been prevalent since the 70s, when we had the Black exploitation films, you know, Superfly films. So why is it when men are the center of that false propaganda, of that driven, that kind of driven imagery of what Black people are, but when women decide to get a piece of that, because, okay, so we can be the hoes, right?
Yeah.
We can become so man.
You can't be the madam. Yeah.
But we can be madam.
Yeah,
we can't our autonomy physically. We can't be the one saying that, even though men say, look, I want your WAP, I want your WAP.
Yeah.
In rap music. But when a woman says, okay, I'm gonna give you my WAP, now I was like, oh my God, you can't say that. So that double standard is more concerning to me than it is the double standard of what the bigger machine at large is allowing, what white people are seeing of Black people and what Black people are seeing of Black people. Like, why isn't it in our community where we are taking away the physical autonomy of Black women, but we don't do the same thing, or we don't police the same thing when it comes to Black men owning the fact that they have become highly criminalized And then on top of this, I want to say this. Cardi B said, she made a great point. She said, you could go support country's rappers like Rhapsody, like Lauryn Hill. But no one's supporting a Rhapsody on the scale that they're supporting a Cardi B. And it's not that. I understand that Cardi B has the bigger machine behind her. Yeah. But YouTube is for everybody. Anybody can go and look up Rhapsody. So why are you guys?
It's what they put out there for us. Yeah.
Exactly. So why are you going to Cardi B's YouTube to see her shake her butt, but you're not going to Rhapsody's YouTube to see her speak her lyrics about female empowerment?
Yeah. I'm with you. It's definitely a double standard. And that's why I'll admit, for many years, I consider myself a male chauvinist. I don't like double standards, even though I do admit and realize that they do exist. Mm-hmm. You know, I want everything to be on an even playing field. You know, a lot of the women that used to work with me on the ramp at the airport, you know, they used to tease me. Well, I can't get in the bin and do those suitcases. I just got my nails done. I'm like, my nails prettier than yours, and my manicure fresher than yours. So if I can get up in there in the bin, you can get up in there in the bin too. You know what I mean? Like, that was my main thing. As long as I see you trying as a woman to hold your weight, I have no problem with stepping in. Okay, she needs some help in it. But don't just think I'm a fall back as a man and let you, well, that's what men do. Because then on the flip side of it, you want to tell me what, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that double standard goes both ways, even though it's not as prevalent as it is favored toward the men. You know, like you said, you know, you got 2 Live Crew. Then you had training and all that, you know, you had trainers and, you know, we've seen this before, but it's like when, like you said, it's the normal when men do it, but now all of a sudden that women do it, it's all the attention. You know, men been cheating on women for years, but now Jada do her thing, and all of a sudden it's like, you know, so, but like I said, it is a double standard because when I talk to my female friends about this is where I get agitated, so to speak, because I don't think that is fair. The same way you was blasting all those men for cheating on their significant other, why don't you have that same, like they say nowadays, why don't you have that same energy for Jada? But Jada get a pass because men been doing it all these years. It's like, wrong is wrong. No matter who doing it, wrong is wrong to me in my universe. You know what I mean? So I feel like I don't feel like people overdoing it with her. Like, she did what she did. She owned up to it. That's between them two. If they can work through that, that's their thing. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad at her. I don't throw no extra darts at Jada than I do over Brad Pitt or anybody else that's cheated on their spouse. I mean, it is what it is. But there is a double standard. I will admit that. There is a double standard. And I am glad that we do see a day now where women are they're starting to take out that more freedom. They're starting to embrace themselves more, to have the gall to put out these songs like WAP. You know what I mean? Because let's be real. I grew up there in North with Lauryn Hill, Wyclef. I grew up with all these cats. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that they wasn't thinking about making songs like that back then. You know what I mean? But I can't put that out like that. I don't know if people quite ready for that. So I feel like there's a boldness that they walking in now that I can appreciate, because it takes tough skin. You know, it takes tough skin to be out there. This is what it is. But my question to you as a woman would be, how do I'm trying to think of how to word this. Because like I said, everybody been talking about this song all week. So you got pros, you got cons, men, women, whatever. Mm-hmm. My question would be, as a woman, not to say that you do or you don't, but as a woman, if you can relate to this song, let's say 100%, let's say 80 to 100%. Mm-hmm. That's me, you know. Do you feel as though that you would have a hard time expressing that to a man that you would be trying to get to know? Or would you be afraid that me being so open and honest with him might kind of intimidate him or scare him?
So, I think, and that's a great question. I think what we need to take into account when it comes to that song is we're talking about variations of where we fit on the
full spectrum. Yeah.
not even the spectrum, but just the process of having a relationship. So, you know, we're meeting each other. I don't know you. You don't know me. So we're in the shared knowledge stage. We're sharing knowledge about each other. Age, right? So of course, you know, if I don't even know your favorite color, I'm not gonna tell you that, you know, that I got a WAP or that you want a WAP or whatever. But I'm But when it comes to, there's a time and a place for everything. That's what my mom used to always say, there's a time and a place for everything. But if I'm with a woman and I'm with my man and we've cultivated a relationship and we've gotten intimate and our sexual relationship has grown stronger because we've had sex, because virtually no one's waiting for marriage. Okay. Let's combat that lie. No one's waiting for marriage. Like the Bible say, people are testing out cars before they buy it. Let's be real.
You trying to say there ain't no saints out there?
There are sinners wanting to be saints, and I understand it. But if the good book, I always say, you was born into sin and iniquity. Look, don't get me started. It's been a minute since I read a good Bible.
So in other words, the church is full of born again virgins.
Right, exactly. But I said to say, I would bump Cardi B's and Megan Thee Stallion's and take on their writing and their way of thinking if I'm trying to be sexual for my man, when that relationship is already established. On the flip side, I also think that because women are hypersexualized, that in a society where it's patriarchy and men believe that they have dominion over women's bodies, because that comes from, you know, religion as well, that you have dominion over women's bodies, that women's freedom when it comes to their personal selves has never been fully realized for men, you know, which is why I can walk down the street and get catcalled. And then if I don't act like I'm interested, then I'm ugly or I'm a B or
hook up and all that there.
And all that. Or when I can hug a man, a friendly hug, but you can drop your hands below my back to touch my butt. And I'm not supposed to say anything or challenge you about it because I don't own my body. You do, you know? So I veered off a little bit, but to answer your question, I would never come as a WAP girl when I'm first meeting someone. But if we having sex and you got some of this WAP and we're in a relationship, if I want to feel freaky, you coming home from work and I want to open up the door with no clothes on and give you some WAP, then yes, I may play Cardi B because that's our...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's our relationship at this point. So there's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, back to them double standards, I feel you on that a lot. But there, I kid you not, there's been times, and that's why even though I feel like I was a male chauvinist, I kind of understand it because there have been times where I would go to hug a woman, next thing I know, she pinching me on my behind, or you know, hugging a little boy that does a little friendly hug. You know what I mean? And I can't lie, even as a man, it made me feel some kind of way, like. You know, it's almost like Eddie Murphy in the scene in Boomerang, in the scene where he gets up and he wakes up, she already gone, and he look and see the $200 on the nightstand. He just pull the sheet up and kind of feels shame. You know, it feels like that for men too. So as a man, me personally, I always try not to objectify women. You know, I have no problem with communicating with women, making sure they're having a good time, stuff like that there. But I try to make sure I never wanted a woman to feel like when she's with me, she doesn't have all the control of herself. I would never want a woman to feel that way. You in control. You control what's gonna happen and what's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? I don't believe that as a man place to pressure a woman in that area. Just like I don't feel like as a vice versa. I don't feel like a woman should be pressing a man on that area. You know what I mean? I feel like that's why you need to have that conversation. And me personally, I don't know how you feel about it. You can share it if you want. And y'all comment on this here. If y'all got some questions or whatever, add y'all little comments. Y'all 2 cents on it, what the topics that we talking about. But you know, for me, like I said, I think that's a big problem with us as people, as relationships, whether it's family, whether it's male, female, parenting. I don't think there's enough honesty going on. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times if we've just had those conversations that we don't want to have, a whole lot of heartache, a whole lot of hurt, a whole lot of pain could be avoided. You know what I'm saying? Look, dude, you really cool, but you're too short for me. You know, I like dudes that's 6'5", or better. You know what I mean? If that's your preference, that's your preference. But I think so many times we're like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want to seem like the bad guy or the bad woman. Like, no, have that conversation because I will respect. I'm the type of person I can take a hard yes better than I can take a soft no. I don't need my ego stroke. I'd rather you keep it real with me. You know what I mean? Because that's all I'm gonna do with you. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Now, it might bite me in the behind at the end of the day because some people tell me I could be too brutally honest, but that's just the way I be. At the end of the day, I don't never want you to feel like, well, he lied to me. He tried to play me out. No, I'm gonna keep it real with you. So, what's your take on that? Like, do you feel like what's your take as far as honesty and having those open conversations and open communication with one another? How important do you think that is?
I think it's very important. I champion open conversations at the very beginning of a relationship, like not even a relationship, a get to know me ship. At the very beginning, because we don't know how it's going to pan out. We could just be good friends. We could be in a relationship. The relationship could last a long time. It could be a short time. We don't know. But at the very beginning, it is very imperative that you share what I like to call the blueprint. Shout out to Jay-Z. You want to share what makes you, what you're looking for, what you desire, and what are your non-negotiables. This is so important because if someone cannot meet those, I have a friend, I'm not gonna call him out, but he tell his women all the time, like, I'm not ready for a relationship. Don't ask me for a relationship. I'm not there yet. And they say, I'm not ready for a relationship either because it sounds nice to say, right? But eventually they want a relationship with them. And then when he tells them no, they get upset. And I can't be mad at that brother because at the very beginning, he disclosed that he wasn't ready for a relationship.
I promise you guys watching, we did not have this conversation before I had no idea she was about to talk about that. And I was talking for the last week, I've been talking to a friend and she was saying the same thing to me. Like, well, why? You've been divorced for a while now. Why aren't you dating? And I'm like, for me personally, I'll be upfront with the women that I approach or whatever the case may be. For one, me personally, honestly, the main reason that I'm not dating right now is because it's too much work. I'm gonna just be honest. As far as I'm concerned, it's too much work getting to know somebody from all fresh. I gotta know whether you like ketchup on your burgers, you allergic to mayonnaise, or man, it's work. I want to have fun. I don't want to work. You know what I mean? I work a 9 to 5. I don't want to have to work. So that's my personal belief. So one of the things, and like I said, after being honest, I tell women, I'm not saying that I would never be in a relationship. I'm just not looking for a relationship right now. You know what I mean? I keep it real with you. As long as you're having a good time, as long as I'm having a good time, that's all that matters to me. Now, if it develops into something else, that's cool too. But if it don't, then that's cool. So she was like, well, you never think that when you tell women this here that you don't want a relationship, you don't think that it intimidates them? And I never really thought about it. But my thing was, I would think, especially as many women, I don't like to do generalization, but most women always complaining about how all men do is lie. You know what I mean? So why would I not keep it real with you up front? You see what I'm saying? Because I'm like this type of person. I'm like, we got to all assume a responsibility as an adult. If I tell you, or put it like this, let's say, for example, hypothetically, we'll use me and you since we the only ones on the panel. You come to me and say, listen, Marvin, look, you're a cool dude. I just don't see you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I could easily respond, oh, no, that's cool. Yeah, we can keep a friendship. But in my mind, because I've seen the flip side of it with women. That's why I don't mess with all the women that I possibly can, because I'm mature enough to understand that there's a whole different level mentally. You see what I'm saying? I've seen women, and I know for a fact that I tell them that I don't want no relationship. And they say, okay, that's cool with me. But I see in their head, they thinking, that's what he's saying right now. Wait till 6 months down the road. You know what I mean? Exactly. And then when we get to 6 months down the road and things don't change, now your feelings hurt. I don't feel like that's my fault. You know what I'm saying? The same way, if you tell me, Marvin, hey, I don't see you like that, and I still take it upon myself to still catch feelings for you, I don't feel like you don't take any responsibility for that. That's all on me, because all you, at the end of the day, you did was keep it real with me.
I completely agree. And the same thing when it falls into the line of sex, you know, we got to understand that 8 out of 10, I want to say 9 out of 10. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10, but I haven't tested these statistics, but existing as a woman in America, 9 out of 10 of the male relationships that I've had, the objective of that relationship is to have sex from the man's point of view. I've only had a handful of people who just wanted to just be my friend, like legitimately be my friend. So I think that, you know, the honesty is something that is definitely needed, because if I say I'm not, because like you know, I might as well just be a virgin, because, you know, I haven't had anything in 3 years almost, you know, celibacy for 3 years. And when I tell
never born again.
I know, right? And when I tell that it's not gonna happen for you, partner, men feel like you just like women. Like I can change it. Like if I
that's what you're saying now, yeah.
And date you and make you and become Prince Charming, but you don't have to pretend to be Prince Charming, you know, to get this poison apple. Because and I don't mean poison like I'm sick. I mean poison like, you know, have you limped over somewhere. Anyway, it don't matter. It don't matter. What matters is that fact people do lie, and yeah, let's just start having those honest conversations, because those great relationships, because I feel like men could be who and what they want to be to women if they were allowed the safe spaces to be that. And the same thing for women. Mm-hmm. The male relationship that you have, or every female relationship that you have, has to have an underbelly of sexual, you know, undertones. That sometimes there's a lot of women out here that have been hurt by men, and that you can have that one male friend that's willing to help heal you, you know?
Yeah.
If we allow these safe spaces for each other to exist without the precept or the concept of some type of sexual or relationship or wedding or whatever that conditioning that we have, we can really allow a new freedom in our relationships as men and women. I truly believe that.
I agree with that myself. I like that. I totally agree with that wholeheartedly. You know, so we talking about how we was going to talk about sexuality too. I feel like sexuality is a broad term. So like what I think what we need to do is narrow it down. So I'm just going to ask you personally, and you could answer for yourself or not. But what when you hear the word sexuality, what is sexuality for you?
Sexuality to me is like, it is an umbrella term that includes everything. It includes your proclivities, things that you like, your kinks, your fetishes, how you express yourself sexually. It also, right up under that, the subsect would be, you know, everything dealing with, you know, like I said again, proclivities, kinks, things that you like, pleasures, sexual orientation, sexual attraction, what you're attracted to. It's just such a broad term that encompasses all of those things. Anything with sexual, anything is included in the umbrella of sexuality.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that, you know, because I would ask people, I was telling people what the show was going to be about tonight, so I was asking different questions. And the first question I got was, what do you mean by sexuality? Do you mean gay, straight? Do you mean like what you're into? Because it's such a broad term. So, you know, me personally, if I ask a woman per se about her sexuality, I think it would be cool if she let me know if she's bi, straight, whatever she want to classify herself as. But when I use the word sexuality, I'm saying, like, you know, like you said, those kinks. Like, what are you into? What turns you on? What don't turn you on? You know, because we can't. When it comes to sexuality, for me, that's the one thing. Well, not the one thing, but one of the main things that we cannot generalize.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because the old girl like for me to grease her scalp don't mean that you gonna want me to grease your scalp. Exactly. You know what I mean? Or just because the last dude I don't want you rubbing my feet. You know what I'm saying? I'm the only person that touched my feet. You know what I mean? So everybody got their own, like you said, they got their own little quirks and their little own, you know, things like that there. So that once again, that's why I was kind of proud of the song or just the existence of the song now, because me personally, I feel, like I said, I don't like to do generalizations, but I do feel like there are more women than not that can actually relate to the song or might be into the song, but at the same time, they don't necessarily want a man to know that because they automatically think, okay, well, if he know that I'm like that, then he gonna always look at me like the side piece. Like I'm good enough to sleep with, I'm good enough to have fun with and a good time with, but I'm too wild. You see what I'm saying? Where I don't know if she did this with me, how many other dudes she did it with? You know, all those different things. But like I said, I think a lot of times we could avoid a lot of those hardships if we just had those conversations. You know what I mean? If like, yo, if I'm feeling you like that, Janelle, you know what I'm saying? I want to see where this go. You like, hey, no. Okay, cool. We can move on. We can still be friends. We can still be cool. We can still be cordial. But there's no need for us to have the elephant in the room or, man, should I ask her out or, you know what I mean? Because we all adults. We all meet people, especially I won't say all because I don't want to put married people in that category. But as adults, married or single, we do meet people and we have different chemistries, different attractions. You know what I mean? Whether they're appropriate or not, sometimes we do. They are there. They do exist. So my thing would be, you know, one of the questions that somebody just sent me was, like you talking about the song and everything like that. Then how would you respond to if a woman was honest with you the same way in that same regard as far as sexuality? And the first thing I would do, I would give her a big hug. I give her a hug. I give her some that because we two peas in the pods. I need to know where you stand at. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that that's all the things that I need. That's everything in the song. But just the fact that you feel comfortable enough to talk to me or talk to me on that level and be real with me about the way your sexuality, what you into and what you're not into. Okay, now this could go somewhere. I would much rather have that than that's the way you really are. And you like what's Levita? I forgot her name, but Levita in don't drink your hood, don't drink your 40 while driving in the hood. Remember the scene with it in the back? I don't do nothing like this. And the next thing you know, the demon come on. You know what I mean? I would rather you tell me, hey, listen, I got a demon side to me. You know what I mean? Because then I can run for the hills if I so choose. But if you know what I mean, I think we all too old at this point in our lives to be playing games.
Not only just playing games, but we're too old not to be having the conversation about sex. You know, like taboo to certain people. But one of my friends that I love so much, where I perfection the poet, is that she loves to have these open conversations and honest conversations about sexuality. And she'll get straight to it like on the first conversation. I think that that's important. Now, I don't want to make it seem like I'm contradicting myself from my earlier statement. As my preference, I don't feel like I would be, that's the first thing I'm gonna say, hey, my name is Janelle, my favorite color is green, and by the way, I like, you know, filleting people. Like, I'm not gonna do that, okay? But what will happen is, as the night goes on and we touch on many different topics, like likes and dislikes, and where we stand religiously, or if we have a religion or spirituality, where we grow up in, our family dynamic, eventually we're going to get to what attracts us, because it'll start with, I'm so attracted to your intelligence. And then it goes from there to, you know, my favorite physical feature of you is your eyes or your lips. And then it's going to go from there to the sex topic. And I think it's so important that we have those conversations and that men don't make women. Here's the thing though. When a woman tells you, look, I like sex, I love sex. It's a very integral part of the process of getting to know someone and communicating with someone physically. What we don't want is for you to just have tunnel vision on that thing. And now it's like, now you're not even worried about what I like and what I dislike, or what's my favorite color, what's my favorite food. All you're not worried about is, she said she trained to go. I'm trying to get in them dry. See what that feel like. That's when you miss us, because that sexuality is a part of a bigger puzzle. But now you're making that just the only portion on the plate, and now we have no room to be our full selves holistically, because you're trying to fragment us into your fantasies. We don't want that.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel the same way. That's a good point to make. You know, because I feel like you said, if we had those conversations, I think we should, or we gonna go somewhere. I think we should both be getting to the point where we trying to fulfill each other's fantasy. You know what I mean? But the only way we can do that is if we put them out there. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, we gotta wait to get there. Don't try to. Now you know a fantasy. You're trying to make that fantasy happen in the next 24 hours. You can't do that. And make sure that I'm able to give you this fantasy because now that connection has been solidified. Don't just try to make it happen, Captain.
Yeah. So in other words, don't be scared to shoot your shot, but do a little crossover, do a little dribble first before you don't just come in here jacking threes. You know what I mean?
Right. You're approaching a whole person.
Yeah.
And you're a whole person. So you have to come and talk to me and love me and like me as a whole person. Don't just take a piece of me, you know, whether it's WAP or not. And just expect that, okay, this is all I'm working towards and working for. Get to know me, all of me, so you can get to that part.
Yeah.
How many licks does it take to get to a center of a Tootsie Pop? World makes.
That never know. Because every Tootsie Pop is totally different.
Totally different. Totally different.
Some you gotta lick, some you gotta suck your way there, some you might have to nibble a little bit, you might have to bite. Hey. And some different ways to get to that center.
Some may never open their wrapper for you. And that's fine, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so we're going to be wrapping up soon, but before we go, off camera, we were talking about the LGBT community, and you was bringing up some good points.
QIA+. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we were talking about when we put it like this, I was talking about how it bothers me. I had to tone out a little bit, I had to scale back a little bit because I almost got put in Facebook jail yesterday for making a comment. But I had made a comment about the show The Shot, and I used the word that Facebook felt like I shouldn't have used, you know, and they told me that either you could agree with it or you could disagree or whatever the case may be, but this goes against the image that we're trying to portray, so to speak.
What word did you use?
You know, like a type truck, just a different first letter.
Type what?
A type truck.
Oh, okay. You use a derogatory word that describes women who are attracted to women.
Exactly. So that was like a no-no. So my thing was, the reason I felt offended was because, one, I don't know. For one, I didn't know that it was necessarily offensive. Okay. So that was ignorance on my part. But at the same time, it feels I'm not comfortable like talking about that topic because the way I feel is like I feel like grown people can do whatever they want to do. Like, you know, if that's what you into, that's what you into. You know, but don't penalize me. Or this is my response to Facebook. Now, you're gonna threaten me or you remove my comment 1 minute after I put it up. They removed it. They removed my comment for having that word in there. But at the same time, I could go on some of these backdoor channels on Facebook and look at nudity. I could see genitalia. I could see posts with the word nigger in it, nigga, everything else wetback. I could see, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, where do we draw that line at what's offensive? Like I said, you could go on YouTube right now and watch murders. Like, I wouldn't want nobody, if that would have been my family member, I wouldn't want that to be accessible to YouTube. You know what I mean? So I get the or better yet, like this. Ignorance is bliss. It's not an excuse, but ignorance is bliss. Okay. I know, like in Christianity, I consider myself as a Christian. In Christianity, in China, right? A lot of people don't necessarily know this over here, but in China, they will literally kill you if you pronounce Christ. They have churches that are literally underground because they can't publicly claim Christianity. So out of fear for losing their lives, they go underground because they're not free to worship over there. Now, I'm not saying that churches over here in America need to pick up that fight, but that is a sense of injustice. But if you don't know about that, then you don't know. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't negate the fact that there's a problem going on over there. You're just not aware of it. And the reason I set it up like that is because you were talking about, you was putting some numbers out there about like the bringing light to the LGBT community, transgender, black, particularly black females that are being murdered at seems like an all-time high. So if you don't mind, give me some of those numbers again. Because like I said, I have made a statement like, even though you can do whatever you want to, I don't want it to feel like it's being forced down my throat. You know what I mean? Every time I turn on a commercial, I don't want to see a gay couple. I don't want to see it in every single sitcom that I watch. I don't feel like they have to have a presence everywhere. And then you kind of spoke on it about those numbers about how many shows actually show transgender or homosexuality. So like that was real educational for me. So educate the people with some of those same numbers for me.
Right, absolutely. So I want to, before we get to the numbers, I want to say that it's something that you said. So everybody want a piece of the affirmative action. Here we go. This argument about acceptance and seeing this everywhere, it was the same argument that white people use when Black people, when affirmative action came in and Black people were put into spaces that were not necessarily Black to start off with, or diverse. Colleges, business and enterprise, these people then were receiving tax breaks for having Black people just merely in the room. And that upset white people because it's like, wait a minute, you guys are getting a leg up for just being Black, not realizing the fact that we've been down for so long. And just because you saw one Black person in the boardroom did not mean that Black people were taking over the business. It just meant that you guys were actually allowing us in those spaces now. And now, yeah, we do have Black CEOs and Black entrepreneurs, but nowhere near the amount as white people. Mm-hmm. Same argument about, I don't want to see Black people taking over everywhere. Now we got a Black president, one Black president out of 45, one out of 45, but now it's like, well, now everybody gonna be Black? No, that's not how that works. So same thing with the LGBTQIA plus, is because when you look at a commercial, I dare any of you to jump on your television, whether it's Hulu, YouTube, or just straight basic cable or satellite dish. You can look at 5 commercials, and I promise you the next 5 commercials will not have a gay couple in it. Okay. But if you watch over an hour or 2 hours, you may see one gay representation. But when you see that one gay representation out of the 50 commercials you just watched, that's going to stand out. So it's like, oh my God, everywhere I turn, I see a gay couple. It's not everywhere you turn. There are hundreds of thousands of shows that are aired around the world. Okay. Out of all those shows, and they did the Nielsen test where they do all this. Yeah. Only 0.1% of those shows had a gay representation. 0.1%. We're talking about Netflix, Hulu, even the shows in Africa, the shows, the broadcasting in Brazil, all of the world, 0.1% had gay representation. Then when we talk about Black trans women, and this is what I think is so important. We were talking about Birth of a Nation, right? Came out in 1921.
Yeah.
First depiction of a Black person in major movie
motion pictures. Yeah,
exactly. But he wasn't a Black man, it was a white man in blackface, but they depicted Black people, Black men specifically, as rapists
and murderers.
So this image that was feeding out into all of the masses, Black men are rapists, Black men are rapists. So what ends up happening is the over policing of Black men all of a sudden came about. The worry that Black men were going to rape white women, and that you guys wanted the lily white woman. And were you, Marvin, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, that's what you guys were afraid of. Representation is so important because, and I don't mean to bring up the Cosby Show, but it was revolutionary because at this time, that was one of the only depiction of a well-to-do Black family. And that was fed into white homes, changing the narrative of what it meant to be Black in America. Because you have good times, which you love good times, but good times in the ghetto, poor, trying to make ends meet. Those are these images being fed into to white psyches. So the same thing with the LGBT. You guys see Jerry Springer, you see Maury. Oh, you're being tricked. Oh, it's really a man, or the gay stuff, or whatever. And you're not humanizing the LGBT. So that's why it's so easy for us that when a Black man dies, we can get out here, we can light candles, we can have a visual, we can go hard. But if a Black trans woman dies, nothing. It's silence, because we have yet to humanize that part of our society. Whether they're trans, gay, lesbian or not, they're Black. And I find it funny that Black people are reminding LGBT people that they're Black first, but you're not remembering that they're Black first, because if they're Black first, when any of them dies, we should be out in the streets. But we pick and choose who becomes martyrs and who becomes the correct representation of our justice and our vengeance and we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here and march. So I want to say this. There's a trans woman on the Shy. Trans women are being killed disproportionately to any other demographic in our society. And the reason why we say disproportionately, because there could be 200 Black men that died last month, which would be tragic. And there could be 2 trans women that died last month, which would be tragic. But trans people make up 0.003% of the entire population in the world. So when 2 people die of that small population, that's what I mean by proportionally.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 million Black men, but if there's like 20,000 Black trans women that exist in the world.
It's like the jail system. We only 13% of the population, but 50% of the prison.
And I find it funny that that's understandable to the Black community,
but not transgender. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like it is necessary to have these stories on the television, because once that we can humanize ourselves with people, because 80% of the world don't know a trans person. Okay. Once we get to humanize people, then that way we can be like, you know what? Whether they trans, gay, straight, it don't matter to me. They Black, they somebody's sister, they somebody's brother, they somebody's uncle, auntie. Like, that's a Black life. And we got to start being responsible and careful about how we speak around our people about the LGBT, because then when you say, I don't want to see this shit, I mean, this stuff, I don't want to see this.
You good?
Then your Black child who may be trans, who may be gay, is looking at your reaction, how you're acting to that couple on TV. And I was like, well, I will never tell my dad that I'm, and then you hide in the closet, you come out much earlier. And then when it was finally revealed to you, then you're revealed that, hey, I'm gay, but I thought about suicide. But why didn't you come and tell me? Because children are paying attention on how you react to people. They like, that's me. That's a trans woman, but that's me on the television. Or that's a gay woman, but that's me on the television. So I just think we need to be responsible. But that's my whole spiel. Hope I didn't upset. I can't see no comments, so I know the Christians are a little upset right now.
Nah, yeah, I'm reading some of them on Facebook now. One says LGBT is not the same as civil rights. I totally disagree with her. Murder is murder. You should not have to mention them as transgender to say they were killed. I guess to say that they were killed.
But murder is not murder, because when a Black man dies at the hands of a Black man, we're not rallying. But when a Black man dies at the hands of a white cop, then it's nuanced. So murder is not murder. And the LGBT, we're not talking about civil rights here. See, and I think that's what Black people, we're getting mixed up. No one's talking about civil rights when we're talking about Black trans, Black gay, and Black people. What we're talking about is human rights. Human rights. You have the right to express yourself and to be represented in any facet you want. We do not have the right to then hate you, kill you, maim you just simply because you're Black or because you're gay or because you're Black and gay. So we're talking about human rights. We're not equivalating civil rights and, Black gay people are going through the same thing as Black people. We're not saying that. Across the board, we all need to respect everybody's human rights.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Trying to find some more. You tagged Jermaine saying precisely. What Jermaine say?
I can't see none of these comments. I'm on this Zoom.
Yeah,
start rolling in now, because when you bring up LGBT, it's such a hot button for especially Black men. There's this it's a hot button topic because all of the vitriol comes out.
Yeah, and I will admit there are underlyings there, just simply whether it's based on the way you was raised, based on the way you would believe. There are different stigmas. Like I do agree with you from the aspect that murder is murder. That's my personal belief. Like a life lost is a life lost to me. Yeah. It don't matter whether you died of COVID. It don't matter whether you died of a heart attack, a stroke. If you're gone, you're gone. I can't talk to my friend no more. I can't talk to whoever no more. Gone is gone to me. So I do agree with you from that aspect. But at the same time, however, I am one of those people. I do not like to see the LGBT movement lumped in with civil rights. To me, they are two totally different things. But that's my level of understanding. I know that that's not everybody else's. And everybody was, people ask me, well, how can you say it's different? I have no choice in whatsoever in being a Black male. I have no say-so in that whatsoever. Like, that's just the way it is. I feel like some people feel like you don't have a choice in, well, you can't say you ain't got no choice in transgender, being a transgender. That's definitely a choice because nobody's making you have a surgery. So to me, that's a choice. As far as homosexuality, though, some people believe that they're born that way. Some people believe that is a choice. That's not for me. I ain't got no heaven or no hell to put you in. You know what I'm saying? Only thing I can do is live by my own convictions. But I do feel like they are two legitimate, I would say legitimate causes, but I don't believe that they're one and the same.
And I got a question for you, Marvin. Mm-hmm. But lumping them together, I think what we're doing as Black people is we're trying to say, okay, we need to fight this fight first, and then we'll fight this fight, and then we'll fight that fight. Mm-hmm. What I want Black people to take away from this is, because I'm Black, I'm hella Black, is the civil rights movement the same as the gay movement? Absolutely not. It is not the same at all. It's not the same in length. It's not the same in measures of atrocity and sexual and human trafficking, slavery, all of that. It is not the same. No one is saying that whatsoever. I want to make sure we're clear about that.
Yeah.
The reason why LGBTQIA people in the community will bring up Black oppression is because it is befuddling to see one marginalized group who knows oppression so well turn around and use some of the same psychological excuses to then murder or oppress another group. Granted, Black people don't have a system to oppress a group and take away your housing and your jobs, and we don't have that system. So it's never going to be the same as civil rights. It's never going to be the same. However, the hatred and the bigotry that we utilize to excuse the murder of people that don't think like us, have sex like us, believe like us, is the reason why those are brought up, because we as an oppressed and a marginalized group of people should know better. Whether you believe in it or not is not the question. No one's asking you to believe in what LGBT people are doing. What the ask of you is that you allow people to live and not perpetuate your bigotry to the point where, yeah, you may not kill somebody, but how you treat and talk about LGBT people may have your son, for example, your son could be out, and this is a true story, son could be out with his homeboys, trans woman walks by. Now, most trans women, whether you guys want to believe it or not, don't look like the trans women you see on Maury and Jerry Springer. Some of these trans women, you'll never know that they were trans, okay? But they'll walk down the street, and then let's say your son was like, oh, she's cute. Then somebody say, oh, that's a nigga. And then next thing you know, because your son now feels like he has to validate his manhood or redeem himself, he now has to react violently because now he has to prove himself. This is not a reach. Imani Nettles was a Black trans woman that's walking down the street in New York walking in front of a police station. Man cat called her. She didn't say anything to him. Once they clocked her and realized that she wasn't cisgendered, or she wasn't a cisgendered woman. The man decided to redeem his manhood by punching her in the face so hard. Mind you, she didn't do anything. She didn't say anything to him, but he punched her so hard, her face hit the ground. Her skull cracked, and she hemorrhaged. She had a brain hemorrhage, and she died.
Wow. And
this is all because he had to validate himself in front of his homeboys. So when they asked him, why did you feel the need to validate yourself to the point where you reacted violently to this Black trans woman? He was like, well, just how I was raised. So we got to be careful how we use our language and how we react to these stories, because you may not kill the next Black trans woman, but someone you're raising, someone in your family, someone who's looking at you for the example may kill the next Black trans woman because they see how disgustingly you react to that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful.
Definitely. I like that. I could get with that. Mm-hmm. Let me see. It was one comment I wanted to share with you. I thought it was good. Where is that? All right, so one viewer, actually my cousin, he said, Jermaine Freeman, he said, for the most part, the LGBTQT plus sign always try to equate to civil rights. Human rights and civil rights are two different things. However, with Black people, with the Black community in general, we had the issue with both. So like you said, it's kind of, like you said, they're not one and the same, but they definitely both need to be addressed, because we kind of got into it. The very first show that I did it just so happened to be the same exact day of Eric Floyd's homegoing search. And one of the statements that I made, and I've always felt like this my whole life. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, where people scared of Newark. Like it's a different kind of beast, you know. But one of the things that I used to say in Newark was, if I can't walk up and down the street in West Orange, drinking a 40, smoking a blunt, then I shouldn't be able to do that in my community either. You know what I'm saying? If you equated it down here, Raleigh, if you're familiar with the Raleigh area, if I can't smoke in Briar Creek, you know what I mean? If I can't walk down the street with a 40 in Briar Creek on Route 70, I shouldn't be able to do it on the South Side either. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because wrong is wrong, wrong is right. So yeah, we definitely need to be out here, because we are being murdered at an all-time high. Police brutality is out of control. I tell people all the time, back when I was in high school, the reason that the nation knows about racial profiling was because the New Jersey State Troopers shot up a car with 4 boys in a car over 41 times and found no weapon in the car whatsoever. Teenage kids. This is back in the 90s. This is in the early 90s. So this is nothing that's new. But at the same time, I'm not going to be out here marching and picketing against police brutality and not at the same time be scared to say something to the same enforcers, some of the same killers, some of the same goons in the hood. Because like I said, loss of life is loss of life. Hello. You know what I mean? We all this and I mentioned it in that show right there. People talk about, in the hood, we have this mentality of stitches get stitches. Don't say nothing, mind your business. Okay. I think like overall what you were saying is like even our Blackness and most of us that's Christians and stuff like that we're so caught up in the way that we were raised that we kind of we distort things. When it comes to
you're doing your good preaching today, Marvin. You're doing your good preaching today.
I'm not preaching, but I'm just saying, like we can't continue to have that double standard. You know what I mean? We got to hold one another accountable. I was talking about the snitches. Like I think that's the overall mindset that people apply to themselves that it don't apply to you.
Right.
Snitches only pertain to people that are in that life.
In that life, right. It's not a
if you're in a game, but if you're a regular citizen that go to work 9 to 5, that's not considered snitching. By you telling the truth, and people don't understand that. I can't like snitching. The rules as far as snitching, that's for the game. That's for the streets. Yeah, that's street codes. You play by those rules. That has nothing to do with regular people, because even though I'm from the streets, guess what? You murder my son, and I find out who did it, it's gonna get dealt with.
That part.
Point blank, period. You see what I'm saying? Like, so don't. I wish I would say something for somebody that say that they love me, that say that they know me, that say that they know they respect me, know who murdered my child, and won't say nothing. Because on the flip side, if somebody did that to one of your family members, guess what? I'm putting their head on the rapper. I'm delivering them to you. Because I ain't no thug. I'm not no street cat. You know what I mean? I don't live that life no more. So those rules don't apply to me.
Right.
When I'm playing basketball, football rules do not apply to me.
Don't apply.
You know what I'm saying? And I think we got to come to that level of understanding that, listen, man, murder is murder. And like you said, in our black communities, man, black on black crime, I hate that is even a term, because to me it's just simple murder. And we got to cut it out, man. We got to chill with this. It's too many young people that's dying in these streets in Raleigh, Detroit, Chicago, Newark, down in Florida, Liberty City. It's too chaotic everywhere. And we got to do better as citizens, as adults, because even growing up in the hood, when I was a kid, there was a Mr. Johnson on the block. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't care how many guns y'all had. He was gonna step to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Or we had a different level of respect. I seen the OGs out there that was out there smoking, drinking. Hey, mother Strawberry on her way home from church, yo, put that out, yo. You know what I'm saying? We need to help her carry her groceries. It's like they still had a code, and that's the problem with this younger generation. They have no code. They have no rules, and they all scared. And you know what? You know what a scared. I don't like to use that word, but you know what a scared sucker gonna do? He gonna pull a trigger.
Always.
Cause he that scared. That's why I'm so anti-guns. I don't feel like everybody should be able to have a right to have a gun just because most people can't handle the pressure of doing it, having a gun.
Exactly.
They can't handle the responsibility of having a gun. You know what I mean? So therefore, yeah, people always like, man, you used to shoot guns and all that there. Man, listen, I would never go on record as being a licensed concealed carrying person. Not saying that I won't never have a gun. I'm just not gonna put myself voluntarily on no whole nother list to where people know I got a gun and now I'm on the target. Right. That's just one of my things. Might talk too much there, but that's just me. And I just really feel like we got to do better, man. But did you have any thoughts before we wrap up?
My only thought is, this has been a great conversation. And I think that once we remove the lenses that we've been given to how we see each other, because like you said, murder is murder. However, we respond differently when it's a black man killing a black man than it is if it's a white man killing a black man. Mm-hmm. We need to respond the same. Doesn't matter. And that we need to break down the strongholds of what we've been taught about people, groups of people, and really just start. Same thing with women. We have certain thought processes about women that keeps us from having the conversation. We've automatically sexualized women, and that's all you are, just an orifice or a child carrier. Having the real conversations about women, about men, and even about sexuality and the LGBT will allow us to just really move forward, because we're so divided that I believe it's going to take us decades in order to get what we need to get. Because even if they give us all the money in the world, we're so divided, we're going to sink our own ship. Mm-hmm. We need everyone. We need the pastor. We need the teacher. We need the gay person doing makeup on 54th. We need the production company. We need Tyler Perry. Mm-hmm. Whether he wants to dress as Madea or not, we need these people all in one to push our community, not our agenda, but community forward. So thank you.
With you. So I was going to wrap up, but I got one more question. We got to deal with one more question before I leave. I got a comment on here, a question for us. You can answer if you want to. I'm definitely going to answer it because I'm not on ABC. I'm not on CBS. I'm not on Fox. I have no sponsors to lose. So I can say what I want to say and how I want to say it on a particular topic. But the question is, Warren Caldwell, last year, 2,900 plus black on black killings, 2,800 plus white on white killings. why do we not see the white murders in television or on the news? So my take on that is this. I'm glad the word has been coming out more and more over the last the months. People, whether you believe it or not, whether you believe COVID is real or not, it don't matter whether you believe it or not. It's real. You know what I mean? The same thing goes for systematic racism. This government, like on a previous show, me and my guy brother talked about it. It's not that the system isn't working. You know, we always talk about how can we fix the system. The system isn't broke. The system is working the exact same way that it was designed to work. It's designed for them to kill us. It's designed for us. We are a threat. So to answer your question, Warren, why don't we see those white on white? Because I tell people all the time, one of the main reasons that racism still exists to this day, the way that it does, is because of what? Mass media. And the reason that I say that is I don't do generalizations. I only do my own personal experiences. Okay? Growing up there in North New Jersey, I went to school with, we had a white student in my high school, a white student in my high school my freshman year, and then we had another one come in my senior year. So in North New Jersey, I only ever went to school with 2 white students. The only white people I would see on a daily basis was teachers. Because when we go downtown, we not, you know what I'm saying, we're not seeing white people and stuff like that. Unless you go to Penn Station and they go to New York, wherever. But right there in our city, we just didn't see them. Okay? Fast forward, I moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm a youth pastor and in ministry. And one day I walked, it was cold out there. It had just finished snowing and everything. It was totally rare out there. And I went to Walmart, and as I was walking in, I had my hoodie on. I had my triple fat goose because it was cold. You know, I still dress like I'm from Jersey, you know. And I seen this older white lady, and as she's coming out of Walmart, as I'm going to go in, I see her grabs her purse. Now here it is, I'm a man of God. I'm not even thinking about you or your purse, old lady. You know what I'm saying? But it made me think of something. Like, one of the main reasons that racism still exists the way that it does is because this television, because of the internet. First of all, I tell people all the time, the news, just because it's on the news does not make it true. All the news is what they want you to know. The real question is what they not telling you. You see what I'm saying? Because they govern the news. They govern the story that what you want out there. So to answer your question, Warren, that's why. They want to put the protests on television. They want to put murders online where we can go see them because they know it's going to riot us as black people. You see what I'm saying? Like you said, the same thing is going on in the white communities, but they don't portray that because it doesn't feed the fire. It doesn't fuel the fire. You know what I mean? They got to keep this racism going on because if we ever just say, you know what, if we ever just thought for ourselves and say, skin is skin, that person is a person that's like that. Either we get along or we don't, then all of a sudden, we can really get somewhere. So, you know, me personally, I thought I'm not the type of person that was optimistic, but after having a conversation with my god brother, I asked him about it. I said, I don't think we ever get past racism. He said, man, I hear you, but I really don't know. He said, because these kids, these younger generations, they not falling for the okie doke like we did and our parents did. You know what I'm saying? Because Jimmy is playing with Raheem and they just cool with each other. So daddy might be telling you don't need to be going over, you know, Raheem's house or whatever the case may be. But Jimmy like, nah, that's my man. So I think that these children of this next generation, I think they can kind of break that cycle and mold the world into what they want it to be. You know, all inclusive, all of us getting together, all of us getting along as one. But to answer your question, like I said, Warren, to me personally, I think the media plays a big part in because like I said, they control what we see, what we don't see. So like you say, that's a perfect question. If the numbers are the same, why is it that we only seeing black people being killed or black on black crime? We had this many killers in Chicago today. You know what I mean? We ain't seeing what's going on. The white dude, the author that done strangled his wife, done killed the daughters. We gotta wait to court TV. Did they go to trial to find out about that? To find out that even happened. You know what I mean? So don't fall for the okie doke, man. This stuff is planned. It's working exactly the way that they wanted to work. And that's why we don't see those white murders, because they don't want us to see them.
And then when we don't see them, we don't pay attention to them, and we don't pay attention to them. You know, I would champion, and I don't know, and I'm fully okay with telling people that I don't know something if I don't know. But if we don't see them, look at the number of those cases that received adequate jail sentences or adequate punishments. You know, a Black man is, you know, going to get a sentence on average that is going to be 3 times longer, lengthier than a white man for the same crime. Or so if we don't see these cases, we can't follow them. And then, you know, a white man goes and murders his entire family and gets 15 years in some states. You know, like we don't know. So it is definitely, I feel like it is planned. Black on Black crime sells in movies, white on Black crime sells on news. And then in the meantime, all they're doing is, again, proliferating the stereotype of Black criminality and Black inferiority.
Yes.
So we have to, young people are going to change that. And I see it because they are all inclusive. I just sat down with younger people than me, by 5 years younger than me. And just their mind, whether it's working, all of these light skin, dark skin, all of the vision that I had growing up, you know, that, oh, Janelle, you're going to be married because, you know, you're of light, like all this BS that we had growing up, the training and the conditioning, they're now like, they don't buy into any of that. So I'm happy. I am elated that that's happened, because that is a shift worth having.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm about to really wrap it up on this topic. But one of my Caucasian friends, one of my light skinned friends, they asked,
they Caucasian or light skin? What they?
That's my word for them.
Got you.
They just light skinned people.
Got you.
We all would. They just light skinned people, you know.
Exactly.
But they asked me. They said, you might be onto something, but where's your proof? Okay, and this is my proof. You're not about to turn into Breaking Bad, right? But you can have a certain amount of crack cocaine, right? Crack, which is weird in the Black community. You have a certain amount, let's just say you can have an ounce of, I'm sorry, not an ounce, let's say a gram, you got a gram of crack cocaine. You could get 15 years for having that gram. Now, you need cocaine to make crack.
Crack, yep.
You can have that same gram of coke and only get 5 years. So you ask me, where's my proof? That is my proof. It is disproportional in the Black community versus the white community. It's as simple as that.
You can pull up the cases.
Yeah. How can you get more years for having crack on you than having cocaine when it takes cocaine to make crack? that makes no sense whatsoever.
But one is stigmatized as the Black drug, and one is stigmatized as the white drug. So, you know, cocaine is looked at as like, it's fun, it's free, you know, we sniff, we do whatever. But crack is like, you know, Black mothers on the street holding themselves out for their next hit. So we gotta be mindful of that. And then also there's a book called White Fragility. But let me say this, I love white people. I'm Black. I don't feel like I need to say that, but it's crazy. We live in a time where you have to defend sometimes what your beliefs and your morals. So my belief is this skin is just the way that my body takes in vitamin D. That's all. No other species do what we do. Like, for example, there are species of birds with different spots. It's the same species of bird, but one has red spots, one has yellow spots, right? Mm-hmm. They don't practice separatism because one has black red spots and yellow spots. We're the only species, because we're so smart, that we look at how we absorb vitamin D. because my skin is of darker or melanated complexion and your skin is of lighter. And because you lived in this side of the world and my people came from this side of the world, we're darker and our hair is curly because this is how our body has adapted to absorb vitamin D, that you would use that as a system to oppress an entire group of people is asinine. But the book White Fragility teaches us that a lot of white people are not ready to give up their comfortability when it comes to the hierarchy of race. Just like, and don't come nobody say, I'm just gonna put it in there. A lot of straight people are not willing to give up where they sit on the hierarchy for gay people. You have to be aware of where you sit so you know where you need to take a stand. If we're going to ask for an equal playing field, we need to levelize all of it. So what Mr. Marvin is not, what he's saying is not a lie. It's just that you have to, don't try to combat the information. Try to look it up. Well, where's your proof? Well, Google is accessible, and we trust and believe. Yeah. We live in this Black community. We've seen the proof. The information has been generated, has been, swirled in our community over and in. Elijah McClain, Breonna Taylor. This is not something new to us, but it is something new to you guys. So definitely do the research so that way you can add this conversation to your own house and you can talk to your own white kids and white friends about Black people in such a way where it's respectful and it's progressive. And then we can move forward.
I like that. That's a good way to end it. So I definitely would love to have you back on for another show so we can chop it up. I liked our chemistry. I liked the way we was bouncing off one another. It was all love. I totally appreciate you. Thank you for your time. And once again, you guys, you go to the Janelle Symone page, check out her video. Proud.
Prove it to me. Oh
Prove it to me. Prove it to me. Prove it to me. I couldn't read my own writing for a second. Prove it to me. And it's a dope video. I like the feathers. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna personally make sure I keep my phone charged up. So I'll be ready to answer when I get that call for that next video.
Got you. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. And before we wrap up, shout out to my boy Ty. We believe in God for a good report for you, my brother. Much prayer, much love, much respect. I'm not sure yet because I haven't talked to the family, you guys, but there may be a special edition show coming sometime this week. I got to get with the rest of the family to see if they okay with doing that, or if that's something that they want to partake in. But this previous week, we lost a family member. We lost someone that was dear to all of us in my family. Earl Lee Rankins, totally caught us off guard. So I kind of want to do a tribute show for him and his cousins. This is my cousin. I love you, bruh. People were asking me about it too, and they heard the news. So sorry to hear it. About your cousin. How was y'all related? And to be honest, he was my cousin, but he's my ex-wife's first cousin. But when you 20 plus years in, family is family, so that doesn't change. My marital status doesn't change our relationship. I love all my family the same, and it hurts my heart. So my condolences to Michelle, little Earl, the girls. We all got you guys in your prayer. We here for you if you need you. Bobby, D1, and Gina, whoever else. Like I said, I'm thinking about trying to do a tribute show sometime this weekend, maybe Friday or Saturday, and just big up Earl and all that he was to all of us, man. Earl, we're going to miss you. We're going to keep on loving you, man. Thank you for all the memories. Thank you for the love. Thank you for all the lessons, bro. We're going to miss you. We love you. Rest in peace, my soldiers. And as usual, in signing off, DeAndre, Elisha, know that daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till next week, peace.